blocked just hours after President Biden touted his first-year achievements. One of his top priorities, a voting rights bill, was blocked in the Senate overnight. Two Democratic holdouts sided with all Republicans, refusing to advance that voting rights measure. Earlier, in a 2-hour news conference, the president defended his handling of the pandemic and the economy and predicted that Russia likely will invade Ukraine, suggesting that the level of U.S. response would depend on the size of any invasion.
It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera.
I'm not going to psychoanalyze President Putin of Russia, but I will tell you this. It is clear to us that the decision is probably in his hands. And we are prepared to take appropriate action based on whatever he decides to do.
Vice President also stressing this morning to us that the first preference of the U.S. and its NATO allies is to resolve this Ukraine crisis through diplomacy. That brings us to NBC's political director and moderator of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd, who's in Atlanta for us. Hi, Chuck. Good morning. Let's start right there with Ukraine, because that was the unintentional headline created yesterday. Do you think the White House and now the vice president have done enough to calm those nerves in Ukraine?
We'll see if they've calmed the nerves in Ukraine, but this was one of those, if you're going to call it a gaffe, it's a gaffe of honesty, right? He spoke the reality, which is our response to Russia, our ability to try to get Russia to back down. If we're going to do this with our allies, it's limited because the Europeans are not united in how tough they want to get on Russia. And I think we've all talked about this before. It all has to do with many European countries rely on Russia for energy needs. And oh, by the way, it's winter.
Let's talk about domestic issues. Big headline to come out is that he does want to salvage his Build Back Better initiative, slim it down, a downsized version. And he seemed to take off key provisions off the table, saying he didn't think he could get him through, like the tax credit and paid leave and community college for free. How did you read those tea leaves? Where's this headed?
I think he's trying to get his political identity back, Savannah. I looked at that press conference yesterday, and at least rhetorically, it seems as if he's been watching some focus groups, or at least been hearing the reports of them. He has lost his identity as a pragmatist, as a mainstream Democrat. How do you know this? He himself had to remind people, hey, I'm a capitalist. It's Bernie Sanders who's the socialist here. But our own polling today, Savannah, shows that this issue of not being willing to compromise is actually a problem for him. We asked, is he too willing to compromise, too unwilling to compromise? And over 40% said he was too unwilling to compromise. And I think that gets at this idea that he's not getting enough done. He's cratering with the middle of the electorate, but he's also disappointing some parts of his base, progressives and African Americans, because of this idea. What he tries to get done, he doesn't get anything done. So if he gets bits and pieces, I actually think he would start to improve with some parts of his base, because he'd have an accomplishment or two.
Well, it sounds like that's where the White House is headed now. Thank you so much, Chuck. From the critical swing state of Georgia, I might say. He's kicking off a Meet the Midterms project, and we're looking forward to more of your reporting from the road, those key states that we'll be watching during the midterms.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.